There may be a possibility that there's intelligent life moving this object our way. I
A supposed
remember
comet is catching the attention of some of the nation's most renowned scientists, as one Harvard professor is raising the theory this may actually be a piece of alien technology.
On October 7th, 2025, the world expected a scientific breakthrough. But what we got was silence. A faint, blurry dot near Mars. That's all the European Space Agency showed us. No statements from NASA, no images from China, not even a whisper from the UAE. For 4 days, every major space agency went dark. Why? What could they have seen that made them hide their best images and delay their data? Some call it a glitch, others think it's a cover-up. But one thing is certain. Whatever 3IAtlas really is, it's not behaving like any comet we've ever seen. And tonight, we're going to uncover why this mysterious visitor from another star might change everything we know about interstellar life. It all started with a camera that wasn't even supposed to be looking. October 2nd, 2025. The Perseverance rover was running routine weather checks on Mars. Its Skycam, basically a glorified skywatcher for dust and clouds, caught something strange. A faint green speck, barely visible, almost noise. Most people would have ignored it, but not Mallory Leffeland, the rover's shift lead that day. She noticed something off, a dot that didn't belong. While NASA's orbiters were waiting for perfect alignment, she insisted the camera stay on. Even as the US government shutdown threatened to freeze operations, she kept the data flowing. That one decision changed everything. The image, timestamped 9:18 Mars local time, became the first confirmed visual evidence of 3IAtlas near the Red Planet. Think about that. The first image of an interstellar object in another planet's sky wasn't captured by a billion-dollar telescope. It came from a weather camera running on borrowed time. The odds of catching anything that day were almost zero. Mars' daylight is brutal. Dust scatters sunlight so intensely that faint cosmic objects vanish. But Skycam's wide field view, meant for landscape monitoring, became its secret advantage. It saw what precision instruments couldn't: a tiny moving dot, almost swallowed by glare. Grainy? Absolutely. But real. Undeniable. That single frame became the foundation of everything that followed. The spark that sent 7 spacecraft scrambling to confirm what Mars had just seen. And what they found next raised even bigger questions. The next day, October 3rd, 2025, Mars became the most watched planet in the solar system. 7 spacecraft, 7 sets of sensors, all pointing at one mysterious target: 3IAtlas. This wasn't a planned mission, it was pure coincidence. But somehow every major orbiter found itself in perfect position to capture the interstellar visitor as it passed just under 30 million kilometers from Mars. From NASA to China, Europe to the UAE, it was like the universe had synchronized their viewfinders. Each spacecraft had a different set of tools. The Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter's high-rise camera, capable of spotting a rover's tracks from orbit, tried to lock onto the object, threading a cosmic needle in the dark. ESA's ExoMars Trace Gas Orbiter used its CASIS camera, a sensitive imager that could trade sharpness for light, stacking frames to reveal faint motion in space. Meanwhile, Mars Odyssey tuned its infrared sensors, hunting for heat. Unlikely, but if the object was venting gas or dust, it might glow faintly in the thermal spectrum. The Mars Express orbiter joined in with 2 spectrometers, Omega and SpyCom, scanning for traces of carbon dioxide, water, or anything that shouldn't be there. China's Tianwen-1 added radar and multispectral imaging, capable of probing deeper than anyone else, if geometry allowed it. And far above, the UAE's HOPE probe monitored in ultraviolet, watching for subtle changes in the comet's brightness and shape. For a few short hours, Mars was the center of the cosmic stage. Every orbiting eye, every scientific instrument, focused on the same object that had just appeared in Perseverance's weather cam. This was the first coordinated observation of an interstellar object from another planet. The potential for discovery was enormous, and when ESA finally released their first public image days later, it only deepened the mystery. On October 7th, 2025, the European Space Agency finally broke the silence. The world waited for something historic: a high-resolution image of the first interstellar visitor ever caught near another planet. Instead, they got a blurry animation, a faint, fuzzy dot drifting across a black background. No detail, no shape, just a speck surrounded by a barely visible haze. That was it. The image came from the CASIS camera aboard the ExoMars Trace Gas Orbiter, pointed exactly where 3IAtlas was predicted to pass. According to the mission's lead investigator, Nick Thomas, the object was at least 10,000 times dimmer than anything they normally observe. To protect the raw data, he limited every exposure to just 5 seconds, trading dramatic visuals for accuracy. The result? A looping GIF compressing hours of work into a few seconds of motion. It didn't show the comet's core, that was too small to resolve, only its glowing coma, a pale cloud of gas and dust stretching thousands of kilometers across. The light faded quickly into noise, no visible tail, no color variations, just silence and static. ESA called it a preview. The real data, they said, was still under embargo, locked away for 6 months under their standard policy. That meant the most important chemical and spectroscopic details, the clues to what this object was actually made of, were hidden from the public. But the oddest part wasn't the image. It was what happened right after. For the next 4 days, every major space agency, NASA, China's CNSA, and the UAE, went completely dark. No updates, no images, no confirmations. NASA blamed the ongoing US government shutdown, but that excuse didn't explain why China and the UAE, both operating normally, stayed silent too. Inside ESA, leaked memos revealed tension between their science teams and communication staff. Some wanted a big reveal to match the hype. Others, the scientists themselves, demanded caution. Phrases like anomalous preliminary data, potential for misinterpretation, and risk of public panic appeared in multiple internal drafts. Mentions of unusual chemistry were replaced with safer, vaguer language like under further analysis. In short, the image we saw was a fraction of what they knew. And the real story, the one behind the closed-door meeting between NASA, ESA, China, and the UAE, never made it to the public. That's when rumors began to spread. Were they hiding data that didn't fit the laws of physics? Or something that hinted at artificial origins? What came next made those rumors even harder to ignore. When the first analyses reached the ground, scientists couldn't agree on what they were even looking at. The data didn't fit any model. Every explanation created new problems. In the end, 4 competing theories emerged, each one stranger than the last. The first was the safe one, the natural comet theory. Maybe, they said, 3IAtlas was just an exotic comet from deep interstellar space, built in conditions no one had ever seen before. That could explain the nickel-rich composition, the lack of iron, maybe even the extreme carbon dioxide levels. If this theory was right, then as the object got closer to the sun, it should have started showing faint traces of iron or water, normal materials buried under the surface. But as the data kept coming in, those signatures never appeared. Then came the second hypothesis, the one that made headlines before disappearing from official channels. The ancient artifact theory. This model treated 3IAtlas as something built, a probe, a relic, or maybe a derelict craft that had crossed the void for thousands of years. Its industrial-like nickel chemistry fit that narrative eerily well, but no one could find evidence of structure. No metallic glints, no clear radar reflection, nothing that screamed machine. And then came the most controversial theory of all, the hybrid model. According to this idea, 3IAtlas could be part natural, part engineered. A natural body, maybe a small comet or asteroid, repurposed as a shell to hide something inside. The strange chemistry and light scattering could be byproducts of that outer coating, a camouflage of dust and carbon to mask its true core. But without close-range images or radar data, no one could prove it. Every agency had the same problem. The data was incomplete. Then, just as scientists began preparing for follow-up observations, 3I/Atlas vanished behind the sun, entering what they called the perihelion blackout. For 2 weeks, no one on Earth, Mars, or anywhere else in the inner solar system could see it. Whatever was happening near the sun, the critical moment where comets usually brighten, fragment, or flare, would remain completely hidden. And when it reemerged, nothing about it was certain anymore.